Hey everyone, Jason here, digital marketing consultant, and in this consulting guide, you're going to learn about the 3 best pricing models when you're just getting started as a consultant. And when you stick around to the end, I'll go through a simple formula you can use to actually figure out what the heck your price should be when you're just getting started. So timestamps below, along with some other helpful videos to actually generating some leads for your new consulting business. So as we dive into these 3 different models, there are 3 keys to success. Number 1, no free work. Number 2, never charge hourly. And number 3, there's no longer any such thing as a discount, only a smaller scope of work. And I'll get more into that third one when we go through our first pricing strategy, which is going to be a package. And this is actually the best place to start off as a new consultant, because what you want to do is you don't want to be a contractor, you're not looking to be a freelancer, you're looking to go one step above and being seen as an expert and a go-to resource in your client's mind for whatever your service is in your niche or industry. And part of doing that is separating the work you do and the results that you deliver from your time, which is the biggest advantage of creating packages. When client A pays for package number 1, they get a 5-page website. When client B pays for package 2, they get 3 Facebook ad campaigns and some retargeting setup or something like that. You want to be very, very clear with your package and what you're delivering. I'll get to how you can actually figure out what your packages should be in a moment. But the second really important advantage to having a package is it protects you from scope creep. This is something that's going to be your biggest hurdle to delivering client results when you're just getting started, because it's so easy for projects to begin to go out of the scope of what you thought you were going to have to do to deliver the result. And so when you think in terms of packages, you think the client wants result number 1 or they want deliverable number 1, 2, and 3. And so when you focus on the results and the deliverables, then you can backtrack and create a package of everything that you're going to need to do in order to get the outputs that the client wants. Now, everything that's in the middle is what you have to do, right? And they don't really care. They just want to know, what is the price and what do I get for the price? And everything in the middle is that laundry list or menu of items that you have to get done in order to give them the result that they're looking for. And when you have that clear list because you've created a package, well, guess what? It's really easy for you to point to this list when the client asks you to do something that's not on it or doesn't directly contribute to the end result that the client is ultimately paying for. Now, the third big advantage of going with packages, and we'll get into how to actually put your package together, actually has more to do with you and your business than delivering results from your client, and that is it forces you to focus. As a consultant, and when you're just getting started, one of the hardest things to do is figure out exactly who your ideal customer is. I'll link up in the cards in the description to a different video that goes through everything you need to know to putting together your ideal customer. And the second part is figuring out what specific services you provide, because you have to make the decision as to what services you provide and the ones you're going to become really good at and the services you're not going to provide, because as a consultant, you can't be a jack of all trades. You have to choose anywhere from 3 to a maximum of 5 services or packages, and that's all you do. That's it. Especially when it comes to the client delivery side, you're going to begin to be much faster in getting results for clients when every single client you're delivering the same result, which means you're getting better with your craft and skill as opposed to having each new client represent a whole new set of challenges. You're not going to be able to enjoy scaling because every new project is new and different. Now, when it comes to what the heck you should put in your package or what kinds of packages your clients might actually want, there is a site that has actually already done this for you, and that is Fiverr.com. Now, pump the brakes, because I'm not saying that you should only be charging $5 to $50 for whatever your packages are. What I am saying is you can go to Fiverr and you can go to your particular niche or industry and you can start to look at the types of packages and deliverables that are promised in those packages on Fiverr. And that's going to give you a great understanding of what people are actually looking for when it comes to the services and skills that you have. Now, when it comes to pricing, we'll get to that at the end, but for now, just go ahead and use a site like Fiverr where you can start to get some ideas of packages and maybe more importantly, which packages actually sell well and what types of services people actually want. Now, the second pricing structure is one that I don't recommend starting with, but it's the closest you can get to hourly without actually being hourly, and that is going to be the retainer. So this is how this works. The retainer is essentially where your client pays you a monthly fee for you to be an advisor. and that's it. You're not doing any work. You're just talking and answering questions. If you have to lift a finger to do anything other than talk or type, then you're outside the scope of a retainer. All a retainer is you get paid X, and then you provide feedback, insights, strategy, advice, everything under the sun, because you're being paid to think and nothing else. You're not being paid to do. So when it comes to a retainer model, if the client starts asking you to actually pick something up, you have to provide a friendly reminder that that's not part of the retainer, but you do have a package that they could purchase or that they could engage with you with in order to get that specific thing done. And it's actually something that will feel a little awkward, because you're going to be telling clients, no, I could click that button or I could flip that switch, but there's that line in the sand that you need to stay behind, and you need to respect your own parameters that you set in your retainer. So if you want your retainer to include 3 to 5 hours a month of you working on something, then that's fine. But it should always be decided before a work comes up, so that you don't get sucked into, oh, I'll just do this one thing for them, or I'll do this one thing for over here, and that one thing or those two things. If you've ever read that children's book, Give a Mouse a Cookie, you give the mouse a cookie and eventually they want the whole cow, right? So just don't cross that line. I'll get off that little soapbox, and I recommend keeping this in your back pocket until you have a client that starts asking you a bunch of questions. In fact, I started off with packages, and then I had a client who was asking me 21 questions like every other day. And so I went to some of my more experienced consulting friends and I said, hey, what do I do? Because it's technically not scope creep, because they're just asking for advice, but it's not part of the package. And they just said, oh, well, why don't you just make a retainer? So for $300 a month, they got 48/5, not 24/7, 48/5 email support. And then I was able to be an advisor for all the other questions that they had. And I didn't feel like I was being gypped, spending so much time answering emails and giving away strategies essentially for free. Now, this third model is going to be a little hard, and it comes with a giant asterisk. So when it comes to pay based on some sort of percentage, this is a good idea if it's common practice in your niche or industry. So as an example, I'm a digital marketer. We run a lot of paid advertising, and it's common practice to charge a percentage of the ad spend. That's just how a lot of digital agencies work. So when we go to clients and say, okay, it's going to be anywhere from X% to Y% of your ad spend for us to manage and grow and scale your ads account, most clients are just go, oh, okay, that makes sense, because they've heard about it before. However, if you try and take that model and apply it in an area where it's not used to, you're going to get a tremendous amount of pushback. And that's not something that you have the branding or positioning to do when you're just getting started. You might see some really big companies or really big influencers in your niche or industry doing percentages, and that's because they already have the clout. And so that's something that you can work towards, but it's definitely not a place that I recommend starting. And the little asterisk here is you might see some other videos or posts that talk about, well, you know what, just think about what the value is to your client and then charge X%, 10 to 5% of whatever the value is. And the problem is you don't actually know. You and I don't know what the value of the actual service you're delivering to the client is. It takes a tremendous amount of work for you to figure that out, and it's on a client by client basis. Just take the basic example of a restaurant versus a car dealership, right? I like using this example a lot. When it comes to running paid ads, the work is exactly the same. The laundry list of setting up a Facebook campaign or setting up a Google campaign, it's all the same. But the cost or the value of a new customer to a restaurant is very different than the value of a new customer to a car dealership. Now, this is a basic example where we can kind of figure out, well, the car dealership can probably afford a few $1,000s a month in consulting fees, where the restaurant is probably a few hundred. But it's going to take you some experience and working with real clients in order to actually know what you should be charging the restaurant as a percentage versus what you would be charging the car dealership as a percentage. So hopefully that makes sense. Definitely make sure you stick with packages. Go ahead and hit that like button if you're still watching. Now it's time to talk about how the heck do you actually price your service if you're not going to do it based on the value you're providing or the percent of XYZ improvement that you're providing to the client. How the heck do you figure out where to start your pricing? And most consultants will, if they're being honest with you, it's probably pulled out of thin air. It's just, well, I think we should charge this. Let's see what new clients think, right? So here's an actual formula to make sure that you are giving yourself some cushion to make some money and you're not coming out of the gate asking for so much that you just get 12 or 15 no's in a row on your sales calls and then you give up, because I definitely don't want that to happen to you. It's really not fun. So let's go ahead, go through this simple formula. So all you need to do is go to whatever job board is in your local area. You can go to something like Glassdoor, Indeed if you're in the States. I know it's different across the globe. And look at, if you took your skill set and you went to apply to a company, how much per hour would they pay you? And go look at the actual hourly rates. Don't pull it out of thin air and say, oh, well, I would ask for this or I would ask for that. Go find actual job postings at actual companies in your area or your country, right? And so take that hourly rate and then look at your package that you've created and ask yourself, how much time is it going to take? Is it going to take 15 hours? Is it going to take 20 hours? Is it going to take 30 hours? And then you take that hourly rate and you multiply it by your time. I know we said not hourly rate. We'll get to the profit in a moment. So you take those two, you multiply that together, and then you multiply it by 1.3, giving yourself a 30% margin. And so what this 30% margin does is, number one, it makes sure that you're not charging the bare bone minimum. And then number two, it gives you some cushion just in case things go out of whack or you were wrong on your time estimation. And number three, it makes sure that you're just getting paid what you're actually worth. So as an example, when I first got started on my own creating Google Ads accounts for new clients, it took about 20 hours. And if I were to go get hired at a local agency, and I lived in Seattle at the time, it would be about $25 an hour is what I could expect to get. That was actually the high end, but I digress, right? So 25 times the 20 times the 1.3 gives me $650. And so what did I charge? $650. And then the next client I charged $750, and I wound up finding a happy medium somewhere between $750 and $1,500, right? Just depending upon the client. And as I went through this process, I started to figure out, hey, you know what? The restaurant, probably $750. The car dealership, probably closer to $1,500, right? But I wouldn't have known that right out of the gate. I had to start with this pricing model to make sure that I was getting paid and I could somewhat put food on my table, although not really, because I didn't get many clients at the time, but I digress. So this just helps you figure out where to start. Now, if you have some sort of assistant, maybe you have a VA or you have someone else working with you, then you just go ahead and do the same formula and you add their time and their hourly rate as well. And you just make sure that you have a extra 30% margin on whatever you're charging. And so those are the three best pricing models to get started as a consultant, and of course how to actually figure out what your package price should be when you're just getting started. So go ahead and hit that like button, subscribe for more deep dive consulting strategy videos and marketing videos just like this one to grow your consulting practice. And until the next, keep building the business you love.